Okay, in this video we have to talk about valid percents and missing data. Now let's say we had a company, and in our company we wanted to survey our employees to their level of job satisfaction. How happy are these folks working for us? So we send out our survey and we get our results back. Let's change the color here. Give me a second. And what we're looking at here is the class. We'll make it simple, yes or no. Let's keep it as simplistic as possible. So we have yes, they're satisfied, or no, they're not satisfied. So we have two classes, yes and no. What order we put them in makes no difference because this is nominal. And we take a look at, and let's say, okay, we get our frequencies on these. So we have our frequencies. And for the yeses, we got back 90 of our employees said yes, they are satisfied. And the no's, we had 10 back that said that they are satisfied. Okay, 90 yes, 10 no. So we total this out, of course, down here. Let's put total. And that gives us 100. Not bad, so far so good. So let's take a look at our relative frequency. So our relative frequency. And in calculating the relative frequency, like we did in the previous video, we take 90 divided by 100, which would give us 0.90, and 10 divided by 100, which would give us 0.10. Add that up, total it out at the bottom, that would give us 1. And let's convert it over. For consistency's sake, let's convert it into percentages, right? So we have our relative frequency percent. We convert this by timesing it by 100 or moving the decimal place over, and that gives us 90%, and this would give us 10%. Totaling it up, we got ourselves a 100%. Now, I'm intentionally keeping the numbers very basic, more so to illustrate the point. Looks good. We could probably, with these numbers, go out and say, yep, we have a 90% job satisfaction rate amongst our employees. That's really good. That would indicate that we have high retention. 10%, well, what's up with this number, the 10% down here? Why is it that 10% of our folks over here, why is it that they're unsatisfied? Well, we may need to look into that. We may need to fire them. Who knows? Now, this all looks good. We can go to job fairs and all, like I said, and we can recruit folks coming out of college or high school saying, come work for us. We have a 90% job satisfaction rating. And that would sound very impressive. However, looking at this, it says our N equals 100. But what if this is not true? What if we sent out an actual N of 1,000? All of a sudden, this whole thing over here, this whole chart over here, now all of a sudden is suspicious. We have missing data, and you have to represent the missing data somehow. So let's take a look. Let's make another one. We have missing. And how much missing do we have? We have 900 missing surveys, right? So if we now add that to this whole pile, this 90, the 90 that we have here, right? This 90 here, this 10, and the missing 900, that gives us a new total. That gives us a total now of 1,000, which is what we actually sent out. That changes the way that this is going to have to look. Now, why is there missing data? There could be a lot of reasons. One, maybe the questions we asked were too personal and people didn't feel that it was safe to keep their job if they answered the questions honestly. Maybe we asked questions that were none of our business, questions that we shouldn't ask. Maybe we made references in their satisfaction to drug or alcohol consumption or divorce rates. Maybe there were reasons within our questionnaire that we have to consider. Maybe they just forgot it. They didn't get it. They spilled coffee on it. We didn't provide them with a self-addressed stamped envelope, so it just kind of got lost. There are a lot of reasons why that we're having a problem here. 1,000 of these went out. 900 of these are missing. You have to note missing data when you're doing these things. Okay, so when you're doing your research, missing data is important. By all means, we want to keep track of what we have, but we need to keep track of what we're missing. Now, if we're missing stuff, let's rework our frequency distributions, our relative and relative percents, to see what these numbers really look like. So I'm going to keep this in red so that we can see that the red involves the missing. So we'll put over here, draw another line over here, and let's put the relative frequency, but this is going to include the missing data. And then we'll have another column here for the relative frequency percent, which will also include the missing data. So now, instead of dividing 90 by 100, now we have to divide it by 1,000. So, and again, we keep the numbers relatively consistent just to illustrate the point here. That would give us 0.09. With no, 10 divided by 1,000 now is going to give us 0.01. And the missing 900 divided by 1,000, that's going to give us 0.90. And when we total this out, that's going to give us our 1. And we go to the percentages. Well, now we're talking 9% say they're satisfied, 1% say they're not satisfied, and 90%, for whatever reason, did not respond, which gives us our 100%. This is a very different story now. What you're dealing with is what we know versus what we don't know. What we know over here, this is what we know in this section here. This is our valid percent. The valid percent, the valid information, our valid totals. When we mean valid, that excludes the missing data. This is what we actually know. We have information here, and we call it valid because this is what we know. We have the receipts on this. The other stuff, with the missing, this we don't know. We don't know exactly. Why is it? This over here, why? Why is 90% not responded? So when you're reporting stuff, when you're listening to things, and you're listening to what people are reporting on the news, you'll hear them say stuff like 90% of respondents, or a valid percentage of. When you hear those, what they're referring to is the valid percent. What they tell you is this is what we actually know, and they're also telling you that although they know this here, they have missing data. And that's what they're telling you. So when you hear that on the news, or you read a survey and they say 50% of respondents or 65% of respondents said this, that's a valid percentage. That's what they actually have in front of them. What they're letting you know without coming right out and saying it is they probably have a lot of missing data. And that's one of those things that you really want to keep in mind with statistics. Everything is not as it seems. The numbers are there. But when you hear how it's presented, that tells you more of a story.